Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to make two bathroom decorations. Now for the first one I'm actually going to use some acrystal and I'm filling in a blank that I designed in a 3D space myself and I printed out on my 3D printer. Now acrystal is basically like a resin alternative. It's more like similar to like a plaster, though it has a liquid that you have to mix it with. So it is this kind of powder that when you mix in the liquid in a specific ratio, it becomes like really rock hard, and you can like sand it, polish it, and all that. And it's a really good resin alternative, in my opinion, because yeah, it like dries basically like stone. It's comparable to some of the harder plasters you can get that like really get rock hard, but it has a bit of a different texture. Now the reason I chose this is because I wanted something nice and sturdy and easy to color, and I wanted the more pastel colors. I could have used resin, but I wanted opaque, so I decided to use this instead to color it in. So my bathroom is more like rubber ducky themed, and I always have a problem that on my towel hangers, when I put towels there, guests would use my towel. So I decided to label one of the towel hooks with the guest logo. And to do that, I designed this cute little rubber ducky that holds the guest sign. Now the pigments I'm using here are mainly just all mica pigments and like full-on pigments. The white is a glow-in-the-dark, and the purpose of that is I'm gonna make the sign white just so that it's, you know, visible in the dark, that when people wanna wash their hands but don't wanna turn on the light, they can see the sign. And this sign has this like rectangular bottom space that's basically going to go as a cap over my rectangular hook size, and I've friction fit designed it basically so it gets over there, but it doesn't have to be like permanently set in place. As for this acrystal, usually it's pourable, but because I mixed in so much pigment to get the right colors, it became kind of like a putty-esque thing. It still like has some of the liquid stuff left, but it's very like moldable, which actually may be a hack for like sculpting with it or something. It doesn't really stay in the shape too much, it like flattens out after a while. But yeah, it could be useful for some things, I guess. But either way, I'm actually using my needle tool here just to make sure the colors get into the spaces they should. And I'm not worrying too much about a bit of overspill because I'm going to sand it on anyways. This stuff, as I said, dries really hard, and it actually bonded surprisingly well with the 3D print. By the way, for those who are interested, this is a filament print and I used just standard PETG for this, and yeah, that's basically all. So it's kind of like a bezel. And you can actually indeed do this with resin. I did it several times before where I filled in 3D prints. But in this case, you know, this stuff works out super well, and it was a bit more messy to work with, but since this stuff is non-toxic, you know, it's totally fine. And as you can see, for the white I didn't mix in as much pigment, and it's much more liquid, and I can actually shake it around to get it in all of the crevices. Now, if you have noticed, the lighting is a bit off in this from my usual lighting. You know, it is a tiny bit darker, and that is because when I filmed this, I actually filmed it like ages ago. I just didn't know what video to put it because it was like a shorter lone standing project. But with the recent project of the like wall hanging decor I made, this fit in perfectly, so I'm glad I kept the footage. But this footage was taken about like a year ago. That being said, for the cleanup, since this stuff hardens really like rock solid, I actually needed to use one of my wood carving tools. I'm always very careful that I don't slip, because these things, when you put some force behind them, they are sharp, they cut you really deep. But I'm basically going around all the edges, scratching off all the excess because it's really on there. And like some of these places would be hard to sand and it's just much quicker to use this. But I'm gonna also go over it with a sanding pass in the end. And it was so satisfying to uncover all the like slightly covered lines and text. Like you can really see how the letters pop, and the same happens with like the beak and the eyes. The black really pops. Now for the edges, after I'm sanding, I'm going to go over with some black because I couldn't get rid of all the like yellow. It is so like in the grooves that to actually get rid of it, I would have had to sand it down way too much. Because like I actually used a bigger nozzle and the layer lines are a bit larger, and on this scale, like, you know, sanding them would mean like really sanding it down to a place where I really didn't care for layer lines. I'd rather have the thickness of the outlines that I planned on having. So I just left it painted over it with some acrylic, same with the front part. I did sand it down with some rougher grit sandpapers before painting though, and before I actually put on the black, I did put some crystal like varnish, just some like shiny varnish. I tried to see if that would fill in stuff. It did fill in some of the grooves, and it did make the like colors really popping because they got a bit matte after sanding. But yeah, it still needed like a unifying black pass. But in the end, it honestly, you cannot even tell that I painted the black outlines. All I basically did was paint a rectangle on the outsides of the ducky, and with that I was basically done. Now next up comes my recent project. I had this like large bamboo whatever hook, and I wanted to decorate the hook with these fishies that I kept from an old mobile that we had, and you know, some wood beads and some seashells to make a little hanging thing. Now it was really hard to go through all the wood beads, so I decided to just dump them. And in the end, basically what I did, I used this twine. This usually is used either for kitchen or for gardening stuff. Although it's not food safe because it like sheds way too much, but I basically like using it for crafting and stuff quite a bit. But I also like to tie it around presents and stuff because it has this like more natural look. So I decided to just tie that around, use that, and then some of the wood beads for the decor. I wanted to go with a bit more of a colorful under the sea vibe, so I chose like blue and greenish beads. And as for the seashells, I spent hours with, as you saw a little bit in the beginning, a like thin, like round file to like get the holes in there. I know that if I would have drilled it, they would have split it because I tried that like before and it just didn't work out. So manual drilling with the, or like I guess sanding off and making a hole that way was my safest bet, and it in total took me 2 hours for 4 holes on 2 seashells, but I think it was worth it in the end. I actually was doing that while watching a series, so it was kind of okay. I didn't feel the time as much, but yeah, it took a while and my hands definitely were aching after. Now, after I saw the first like fish on the ring, I was like, okay, maybe I can decorate it. It feels a bit empty and the ring feels a bit out of place. But I'm actually going to totally ditch it in the end. So it's not gonna stay that way, but I already cut off kind of part of the twine, but it will be fine in the end. I kind of make it work still. I also didn't want to go with the same beads every time, so I decided to mix it up a bit. And actually some of these like smaller natural color beads, I made them years ago out of cardboard. I don't know if some of you guys have seen it, but there's like a trick where you basically make like really slim, like kind of croissant dough shaped strips that are like tapering a bit towards one side, and you can cut them out of like any cardboard, like cereal boxes or anything like that that have color, and then you just put glue on them and you roll them and around like a stick or something, and you let them dry, and this makes these like really beautiful variety of beads. Actually, some of the red beads that are in the pile also are the same like that, and in the case of the natural colors, it like worked out really well, and I'm happy I kept them. I made them when I was like 12 or so, and they have lasted till now, so like over 13, 14 years. And you know, sometimes they work perfectly for the project. If it was anything larger than beads, I would probably have gotten rid of it, but considering they were so small, it was so easy to like store them. As you can see, I switched over to a stick. I actually used some wire brushes to clean off the excess because the like outside was very dusty, and then I sawed it off. I kept the edges pretty rough when I saw them, just so it has this more natural look. And then it was just a matter of tying all of the pieces here. And in the end, like I also made like a topper ring with like knots in there to like space out some beads, because I felt it needed some color for the hanger. And then I'm just using all-purpose glue, smothering the like little ends of the twine just so it doesn't unravel. And with that, it's basically done. And I have to say, I'm really happy with it. I think it turned out pretty lovely. Like the colors with the like, you know, almost swampish sea green, like you could call it seaweed. Then the natural brown tones and the blue beads. I think it has a nice of color, but it doesn't look too like, I want to say, made for children. Now, nothing against that, there can be some really good stuff, but that's not fitting with the bathroom design. I actually took the pictures in the bathroom, so excuse me for the lighting and the focus. It was super hard to get good pictures of this. And I'm actually going to put the wall piece on a hook later. It's not gonna stay on my towel holder. I just wanted to get both in one picture to show you guys. But yeah, I think it turned out super cute, and I love the colors. They definitely fit with my vibe. Although like most of the stuff, as I said, I have decor-wise are rubber ducky themed. I think this fits in with that super well, and I'm happy I finally used up some of the seashells that I collected like mass amount from, and some of the wood beads. And I actually also had these fishes for quite a while. I was just waiting for the right project, and you know, the like branch really looks like a piece that was like maybe washed ashore or something, I think, with the light color, and I really think it like fits super well together. Now, as always, I hope you all enjoyed the video and maybe got some inspiration out of it. I know some of the footage of me like fitting the beads is all over the place, and that's mainly just because it was really hard to keep it in frame because the like chains are a bit longer and stuff. But I still hope, you know, you got some maybe ideas for future project yourself. But let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts were on this project. And as always, I hope you have a great day. See you next time. Bye bye!